นะ สวัสดีทุกคน
Greeting everyone.
ถือว่าพวกเรามีบุญมากนะ
We are having a lot of merit
น่าจะมีบารมี
and
บุญ
also
บารมีจะแปลเหมือนกันไหม
faculty.
มีบุญด้วยมีบารมีด้ว
We
ย
both have merits and
และ
spiritual
ฝ่ายที่จะสร้าง
faculties,
เพิ่มขึ้นด้วยนะ
and we're striving for
ทำ
better.
ให้ครูบาอาจารย์เวลามาแสดงธรรมเนี่ย
That makes
มีธรรมะ
masters
ที่ออก
come
มาประณีต
to give
มาก
talk and have very subtle dharma.
สิ่งหนึ่งที่
One of the
ครูบา
things
อาจาร
that
ย์
masters
จะฝากเอาไว้เสมอเลยคือว่า ตอนเริ่มต้นจะภาวนาเนี่ย
said that at the
สิ่ง
beginning
หนึ่
of
ง
the
ที่
Dharma
สำคัญมาก
practice,
คือ
one of the most important
รู้สึก
things
ตัวให้เป็น
is
นะ
to become self-aware.
รู้สึกตัวก็คือ
To become self-aware is
รู้ที่กายและใจนะ
to be aware
อย่า
of
ง
the
ใดอย่าง
body and mind, either of them.
รู้กายก็ได้รู้ใจก็ได้นะ
You can be aware of either the body or the
ภาษา
mind.
ไทยจะใช้คำว่ารู้สภาวะ
In Thai, we
สภาวะ
say
หมายความว่า
to be aware of the
สิ่งนั้น
phenomena.
น่ะเป็นความ
The
จริง
phenomena means
ซึ่งเมื่อรู้แล้วเนี่ย
when
มันจะแสดงไตรลักษณ์
meaning it is the truth that once known
เรียกว่าสภาวะนะ
portrays the three
มันคือดู
characteristics
กายหรือดูใจ
which
แสดง
can
ความ
be
จริงที่ว่านั่นคือ
categorized
แส
into
ดง
body and mind.
ไตรลักษณ์ให้ดู
Portray the truth.
ไตร
The
ลักษณ์
truth
คือ
is the three
ไม่เที่ยง
characteristics,
เป็นทุกข์หรือเป็นอนัต
which
ตา
are
มี
impermanent
สามอย่าง
suffering and
อย่างใด
non-self.
อย่างหนึ่งนะเวลาเราเห็น
Either of
จะเห็น
them.
อย่างใดอย่างหนึ่ง เห็นว่าไม่เที่ยงก็ได้ เห็นว่า
It
เป็น
could
ทุกข์ก็ได้
be
เห็นว่าเป็นอนัตตาก็
impermanent
ได้
suffering or
เห็นว่าไม่
non-self.
เที่ยงก็คือเห็นว่ามัน
When you see it
มี
as
อยู่แล้วดับไป
impermanence
หรื
is
อ
that
จ
when
ะ
you
ไม่
see
มีแล้ว
that
มันมีขึ้นมา
things arise and fall away, or
เป็นทุกข์ก็คือ
it
มัน
comes and
ทนอยู่
goes,
นิ่งไม่ได้
or
สภา
if
พที่
it's
ทนอยู่นิ่ง
suffering,
ไม่ได้
it
เนี่ย
was
คือ
suppressed
มัน
to
ประกอบ
fade
ด้วย
away
ส่วนประกอบที่
because
มัน
it
ไม่เที่ยงนะ
comprises the
แล้วมันก็
things
เลย
that
บีบ
is
คั้นกัน
the
เอง
things that are impermanent. That's
ทำ
why
ให้
it
มัน
was suppressed to
อยู่นิ่งไม่ได้ต้องเปลี่ยน
go away, to
อาการ
change.
ที่อยู่นิ่งไม่ได้เนี่ยนะ
The things that
เรียกว่าเป็นทุกข์
were suppressed to go away means suffering.
แล้วทั้งหมดเนี่ยเป็นไป
And
ตามเหตุตามปัจจัย
all of these things
มี
altogether
เหตุก็เกิดหมดเหตุก็ดับบัง
arises
คับไม่ได้
from
นะ
contributory factors.
อาการอย่างนี้หรือลักษณะอย่างนี้
These
สาม
kind
อย่า
of
งเนี่ย
characteristics,
จะปรากฏ
three of
กับ
them
สิ่ง
will
ที่เรียกว่าสภาวะ
appear on
ส
the
ภาวะก็
phenomena.
คือพูดง่ายๆภาษาง่ายๆก็คือ
To put
ดู
it
กายหรือ
simply,
ดูใจนะ
we just observe the body and mind.
กายเนี่ยเวลาดูกาย
While
เวลา
observing
สำ
the
หรับคน
body,
ที่ดูแล้วไม่เห็นส
for
ภา
those
วะ
who never
มันจะกลายเป็นว่า
be
เห็น
able
เป็น
to
เรา
see the phenomena, but
ตอนที่นั่งอยู่เนี่ย
the us. For
ถ้าเห็นว่าเรา
example,
นั่งนะ
there is
ไม่
a
ได้เห็น
us
กาย
sitting. We don't
จะ
see
เป็
the
นว่า
body, but see
เป็นเรา
the us.
แต่ถ้าเห็นเป็น
But if you
อะไร
could
สักอ
see
ย่างหนึ่
that
งที่มัน
something
เป็นรูปธรรม
that
เป็น
is
ก้อนอะไรสักก้อนหนึ่ง
that has a
มี
form
มีอิริยาบถนี้อยู่
have
มี
these
มัน
particular
นั่งอยู่
postures like
หาย
sitting
ใจด้วยนะครับ
and breathing
มัน
at
อาจจะ
the same time.
มันไม่บ่งบอกว่าเป็นเราแต่เห็นอยู่ว่ามี
There
มี
is
สิ่ง
no
เนี้ยอยู่
us.
นะ
It is not identified as us.
ดูใจ
It is,
คือดูตัว
is
นามธรรม
only
ตั
something
ว
that's
รู้
sitting.
ตัวรับรู้ต่าง
Or we can
ๆ
observe
นาม
the
ธรรมอันเนี้ย
mental
มันจะแสด
parts
งออกไปทางการ
which
ทำงานอยู่
can
หกช่องทาง
appear
ทั้งตา
six
ทั้ง
different
หูทั้ง
ways
จมูก
through
ทั้ง
the
ลิ้น
eyes, ears,
ทั้งกาย
taste,
แล้วก็
the
ทั้งใจ
tongue, the body, and the mind.
ตาก็เห็น
With the
แสงสี
eyes, you can see
หู
lights
ก็ได้
and
ยินเสียง
colors. For the
จมูก
ears,
ก็ได้กลิ่น
you can
ลิ้นก็ได้รส
hear. For the tongue, it tastes. For the
กายก็
nose,
สั
it
มผัสเย็น
smells.
ร้
For
อน
the
อ่อนแข็
body,
ง
it feel
ใจก็
hot and
รับรู้เรื่องราว
cold.
นะ
And for the mind,
ตอนที่ดู
perceive
ใจ
the mental story.
ก็คือ
Through the
ดู
mind,
ตอนที่
we
ว่าทำงา
observe
น
when
ตาม
the
ช่อง
mind
ทาง
works
ต่าง
through
ๆก็
six
ได้นะ
senses.
หรือ
You can
ทำ
observe
งานไป
like
แล้วเกิด
this.
เป็นกิ
Or
เลส
once the
รู้ทัน
defilement
ว่า
arises
มันมี
from
กิเลส
after
ตัวใดตัวหนึ่งก็ได้นะ
the contact makings, you can observe the
แต่ถ้าเห็นว่า
defilement as well. But if you
ฉันกำลังม
that
องพระอยู่
think that
สมมตินั่ง
you
อยู่แล้วเห็น
are,
พระ
we are looking
เห็
at
น
the
พระ
monk,
เห็น
we
พระ
see the
นี่ไม่ได้
monk,
ไม่เห็นสภาวะ
we don't see the phenomena.
พระพูดอะไรงง
When you're confused
พ
of
ระอะไรพูดยากจังเลยอย่างเงี้ยนะงง
confused of this,
นะ
the
มองว่า
talk that
พระ
monk
พูดอะไร
said,
ยาก
you
อย่าง
think
นี้ไม่
it's
เห็นสภาวะ
difficult, you're not seeing the
แต่
phenomena.
ถ้างง
But if you could be aware of the confusion that's appearing within your heart. That's phenomena, because it will portray the three characteristics that it comes and goes. But if you feel confused and keep confused, can you differentiate between the seeing the phenomena and not see the phenomena? It's like you know the phenomena, but you don't really get into the phenomena, which couldn't give rise to the eradication of the ignorance. The ignorance doesn't mean that know nothing at all. Lay people or worldly people have a lot of ignorance. Avit means avijja in Pali. It doesn't mean that when you are not graduated, these graduates also know things, but when they know things, it doesn't for the purpose of knowing the Four Noble Truth. This avijja in Pali, it is the opposite of the vijja or the knowledge, and contradicts to the vijja or knowledge as well, because it will take us to enjoying the world instead of knowing the true noble truth, Four Noble Truth. Avijja or ignorance will take you to know a lot of things outside, but not for the purpose of transcending the suffering. So avijja or ignorance doesn't only mean that not knowing. You already knew something, but that something is opposite to the knowledge that helps you to get enlightened. You are smart, but you're smart at other things. You know a lot of things. You know it all. This one is beautiful, this one is good, this girl is very beautiful, like a beauty queen, as the first runner-up, the second runner-up, or that president's doing something. You know a lot of political news. You know a lot of things, but this knowledge doesn't help you to understand the Four Noble Truth, because unless you know the phenomena. When coming to the practice Dhamma, it doesn't mean that we cut off all the knowledge in the world, but we add the new knowledge for the purpose of transcending the suffering. To gain the fruit of Dhamma is, first of all, you need to gain the knowledge of knowing the phenomena. Like Long Pu, Pramod, he has a great benefit for the rest of us. He gave us one sentence to be mindful of the body and mind with the equanimous and stable mind. Or it's not like when we know that we know the story of the mind. We only know when you have the mindfulness, you have to be aware of either body or mind. For you have to be aware of this body or mind. If you know other people's body or mind, it has less benefits, and it's not the ones that cause you suffering and happiness. Truly, the happiness and suffering that really matters belongs to yourself. For other people, other cities doesn't really yield any benefits. But if it belongs to us or close to us, it will cause happiness and suffering. For example, if there's a flooding in the southern part of Malaysia, I'm not really suffer because it's not my house. It doesn't mean that I'm not pity, but it's far from myself. But if Thailand has been flooded, then it's close to myself. I have to pay attention to this more, especially if it is near my monastery.
มันกระเทือนมาถึงเรา
It will affect my dwellings.
ถ้ากุฏิเป็นอะไรไปก็
If the dwellings has
ถ้าเราอยู่ตรง
been
นี้ยังก็ยังดีนะเรา
damaged,
อยู่
but
ที่นี่
I'm still
ยั
here,
งไม่เป็นไร
then that's still okay.
ถ้าอยู่ตรงนี้แล้ว
But if
เป็นหวัด
I'm
นิดนึง
still
ก็รู้สึกเป็นทุกข์
I'm here and I got a
นึกออกไหม
cold, then
กุฏิ
will become suffer.
พังไปเลยนะยังเป็นไม่เป็นทุกข์เท่า
The dwellings has been damaged, that's okay,
เพราะมัน
but
นี่คือเราคือตัวเรา
it's not as
หรือว่า
suffer as when it's not
มี
as
แผล
suffering as
มีแผล
I
อะไรขึ้นมาในร่างกาย
became
หรือขนาดที่เรียกว่า
a
จะ
in
ทำให้พิการอะไร
ache
ขึ้นมาเนี่ย
or pain
รู้สึก
or
เป็นทุกข์มากเลยมัน
or
ปวดเมื่อย
incapacitated
เป็นทุกข์
or
เพราะฉะ
cause
นั้น
me
เวลาเรา
suffering.
จะเรียนรู้เข้ามา
Or so if
เรา
you
จะรู้ให้รู้
want
กาย
to
นี้ใจนี้
come to
เพราะ
learn,
มัน
you have
เป็
to
น
learn
ตัว
about
การ
your body and
เป็น
mind
ตัวการที่
because
ทำให้
it's
เกิ
the
ดทุกข์
ones that
หรือ
makes
สุข
you
ที่แท้จริง
happy
ส่วน
or
ใหญ่เราจะเรียนรู้ว่ามันเป็น
unhappy.
ตัวการให้เกิดทุกข์
Most of the
เพราะว่า
time,
พุทธศาส
it
นา
is
เนี่ย
the one that
สอนให้
causes
เรา
suffering. Buddhism
ถึง
taught
ความ
us
พ้นทุกข์
to transcend
ตั
the
วสุข
suffering,
ที่มันยังมีทุกข์เจือปนอยู่
the
เนี่ยยังวาง
happiness
ใจ
that
ไม่ได้
meddle with
สุขที่ไม่มีทุกข์
the
เจือปนเท่านั้น
suffering.
จึงจะวา
You
งใจ
cannot
ได้
trust, really,
สุ
truly
ข
trust them.
สุขที่เรารู้
The
จักมันอยู่เนี่ย
happiness
สุขใน
that
กา
we
ม
know
รู้
is
จัก
the
ไหม
happiness
สุขในกาม
out
ก็
of
คือ
the
สุขจาก
sensual
การมีความ
pleasure
พอใจในการดู
through
การฟังการดม
listening,
การสัมผัสการกิน
smelling,
อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
feeling, eating.
พวกนี้
These
มีสุขอยู่
are
จริง
the happiness,
พระพุทธเจ้าก็ยอมรับนะท่านก็ตรัสเรียก
and
ว่า
this happiness
กามสุข
exists. It's called sensual
แต่สุข
pleasure.
ในกามเนี่ยมี
This
ทุกข์เจือ
happiness
ปน
from
อยู่
sensual pleasures is
เจือปนอยู่
tainted
ใน
with
ทุกๆขั้น
the
ตอนตั้งแต่แส
suffering
วงหา
from the beginning to the
แสวง
end
หากามเนี่ยนะเราต้อ
process
งแย่ง
of
ชิงกัน
fighting
นะ
this sensual pleasure.
เราต้องเตรี
The
ยมตัวเอ
first
ง
time,
ตัว
the
ตัวเอง
first
ให้พร้อ
thing
ม
we
ที่จะ
have
ไป
to
แย่งชิงกับ
fight
เขาเนี่ย
and
ต้อง
compete
เรียน
with it with
เรีย
other
นจบ
with
แค่
each
มัธ
other
ยมก็ไม่ได้
to,
นะต้องเรียน
for
จบมหา
example,
วิทยาลัย
you have to
จบปริญ
graduate
ญาต
not
รีก็
only
ไม่ได้
high
ต้อง
school
ปริ
but
ญญาโทปริญญา
undergraduate
เอก
and also
ใบ
masters
เดี
and
ยวอาจจะไม่พอต้อง2 ใบ
postgraduate.
3 ใบ
Sometimes you need 2 or 3 certificates
แย่งชิง
in
กัน
order to compete
ต้อง
to
เตรียม
each
ตัวเองให้พ
to
ร้อม
outcompete
เสียเงินมาก
others.
มายระหว่าง
You
ที่
have
เตรียม
to
ตัวให้
waste
พ
a
ร้อ
lot
ม
of
กับทุก
money
นะ
and get ready,
กว่า
get
จะเรียน
yourself
จบ
ready.
แต่ละขั้นแต่ละขั้น
And
ไป
it
เนี่ย
takes a lot of
ฝ่า
time
ฟัน
for you
ทุก
to
ข์มาก
graduate from one state to
บา
another.
งเรียน
It costs you a lot of
ตามหลัก
suffering,
สูตรอย่างเดียวไม่พอต้องไปเรียนพิเศษ
and you cannot
ต้องไป
just
หา
go
ติวเตอ
along
ร์
with
อะ
the
ไรเนี่ย
curriculum. Sometimes you have to go to different
ทุกข์มาก
tutoring schools,
เรียนจบแล้วไปหางานกิน
and you have to search for
แย่ง
jobs
ชิง
at
กัน
the end
หางานอีกเป็นทุกข์
and competing with other again,
ได้
and
งา
cause
น
you
ก็ดีไป
suffering. Once you
ไม่
get
ได้
a
งาน
job,
ก็ทุกข์
that's
มาก
good.
ขึ้น
But if you didn't
ถึง
get the
แม้จะได้
job,
งาน
then
แล้
it
วก็ต้
caused
อง
you
ไป
more suffering.
ฝ่าฟันกับ
But if
เจ้านาย
even though you got into a
กับเพื่อน
job, you
ร่วม
have
กับเพื่
to
อนร่วมงาน
compete
กับ
with
ลูก
your
น้อง
colleagues or
หรือบางทีก็
co-workers,
กับลูกค้า
or have to fight with your
ทุกข์
boss
ระหว่าง
or
ทำงาน
your
ก็มีมาก
customers. There's a lot of suffering during the
กับลูกค้าก็
during
มี
work in the
กับเจ้าหน้า
workplace,
ที่รัฐอะไรพวกนั้นเนี่ย
or sometimes you
หรื
have
อ
to
ว่า
deal
ต่าง
with
ๆประเทศ
the
ทุก
officer
ข์เยอะอืม
or the
ได้ทรัพ
people
ย์มา
in other
ก็จะปร
countries.
นเปรอให้ถึงกามสุข
Once you gain the money
ได้มาดีใจแป๊บเดียว
but you have and the wealth, you
อยาก
have
ได้อย่างอื่น
to
ต่อตอนอยากได้อย่างอื่นนี่นะ
uh
เป็นทุกข์แล้วนะ
you want
เพราะว่า
more
มันไม่สมยังไม่สมหวังในตอนนั้นมันอยาก
because
ได้
you once you
แต่
want
ยัง
more,
ไม่
it
ได้
causes you suffering.
ในขณะที่อยากได้แต่ยังไม่ได้เป็นทุกข์แล้ว
When you don't get it yet, it causes you
หา
suffering.
ทรัพย์มา
When you
ได้แล้ว
when you got the
มีทุกข์ใน
money
การ
and
เก็
the
บรักษา
wealth,
ด้วย ได้
it
มาปุ๊บ
causes you
กังวล
another
เลยนะ
suffering.
บางคนนะ
You have to worry
ต้องไปหา
about how to
ตู้
keep
เซ
it
ฟใส่
safe, like
บ้านต้อ
find
งล็อกประตู
a safe box
ใคร
or
มีพื้นที่หน่อยก็ต้องติดรั้วหน้าต่างเมืองไทย
or
นะ
you
ต้อง
have
ติดลูกกรง
to
เลยนะไม่ทราบว่าที่มาเล
in
เซีย
in
มีลูกกรง
Thailand
ไหม
we
เห
put
ล็กดัด กัน
in
ขโม
Thailand
ย
we put some system in order to
ต้องกังวลเรื่องไฟไหม้น้ำท่วม
prevent
ที่
other
มา
people
ทำ
to
ให้ทรัพย์
steal
เรา
your
เสีย
money
หาย บาง
and
คนกังวลถึงขนาดว่า
some
ลูกหลานตัว
people
เองจะมาผลาญ
have to worry and afraid that
บางคน
your
เนี่ย
their
หวงแหน
children
ขนาดว่าพอ
or
มีทรัพย์ขึ้น
grandchildren
มาแล้วเนี่ย
will
ไม่อยากให้คนมาเยี่ยมบ้าน
will use up
กลั
all
ว
the
คนจะ
money
มายืมจึงมี
or
เงิน
you
ตัวเอ
don't
ง
want
จะ
other
ถูก
people to
ถูกจับ
visit
ทรัพย์
your
ตัวเอง
home because otherwise they
บางค
will
นเห็นคน
borrow
อื่
your
นได้แล้ว
money
ตัวเองยังไม่ได้
or sometimes you
ทุกข์จากทรัพย์
see
คน
that
อื่นริษยา
other
เขา
people have a lot of
กามเลย
things, a lot of
มีทุก
possession.
ข์อยู่
You want
ทุกๆขั้นต
you
อนเลย
envy them. You want them to. It causes you suffering.
คนที่หวังสุขในกามเนี่ย
There's
จะ
suffering in
ไม่
every
เป็นอิ
step.
สระ
Therefore,
ไม่เป็นอิส
if
ระ
you aim for the happiness from the sensual pleasure, you're never going to be free because you have to get something in order to be happy. You have to be with someone in order to be happy. For example, if you want to be girlfriend or boyfriend with other person, the other person, you have to get them in order to be happy. If you have competitors, then it causes you suffering. If that person that you like other people, it causes you suffering as well. These sensual pleasures cause you suffering but less happiness. Lord Buddha point out this truth. He accepts that the sensual pleasure gives you happiness, but he also noted that the happiness is very limited and tainted with a lot of suffering. We should find other kinds of happiness, and that happiness should be something that causes you less suffering, or the only happiness without suffering at all. The only happiness that there is no suffering at all is Nibbana. Luang Pu has already talked about this from the beginning to the end, to the Nibbana. Nibbana while still alive, and another Nibbana when there's no more aggregates. It's actually the same Nibbana, but it's when if the noble one still alive calls one thing, but once Arahant passed away, the Nibbana call another thing. But actually, they are the same thing. It isn't like there are two types, but the noble ones, if alive, noble ones will get there. So the purpose of our Dharma practice is to become the noble one. We have to set our priority straight towards the Nibbana. If you can gain to Nibbana in this life, that's good. But if you cannot, then you have to do more, and even in the next life. And if you want to set the purpose like this, you need to have this, set your priority straight and set the objective. And once you have the objective, the right objective, then you can work through it. For example, if you want to be celestial beings, if you can be them, you're satisfied with those goals. So you'll let your life away and enjoying your life carelessly, looking to different gardens. But once he's about to die, then you'll become agitated. Then that's why most of the celestial beings, once they pass away, they will go to worse realms, which is like the celestial beings that go to human realms is limited, and to be celestial beings again is only a few. But most of the celestial beings, once passed away, will go to worse realms. These people haven't set their objective to transcend the suffering. They only aim for the happiness and in the sensual pleasure. Once they lose this sensual pleasure, when they have this sensual pleasure, they lose them. And once they become old or in pain, they will be disappointed. They're only happy when the body is healthy. The body can no longer satisfy their needs through sensual pleasures, through hearing, listening, tasting. You'll be disappointed at the end of your life because you have to lose them all, and they might go to the worst realms. But we don't aim for that. For the rest of us here, we should aim for other things. to transcend the suffering. Even though you cannot achieve this goal in this life, but at least you have morality and also cultivate the dana and Dhamma practice. And our purpose of Dhamma practice is not just to achieve the celestial beings, but we want to transcend the suffering. We want to try to be aware of the phenomena that are arising, so that we have the right purpose and right process towards that goal. If you can do a little bit calmness and you're satisfied with it, then you doesn't have the clear objective. You have to, if you have the clear objective, then you have to see that everything is impermanent. Even happiness is only a phenomenon that arises, falls away, and you don't expect the suffering. But for the happiness, if, for example, is bright and calm, these are secondary goals. These for when you aim to be celestial beings, you become satisfied of calmness. But these things are not permanent. If you want to be celestial beings and you satisfy your goal to be celestial beings, but they are still impermanent. And they are very pity when once they die, because they have very limited time to prepare themselves. Unlike humans, when they're about to die, there's a lot of things that warn us. For example, we will be in pain. Some people don't die, especially the wife. They're very aged, but difficult to die. Women would say the husband as well. The husband also have big belly and no hairs and not die yet. This is to warn us that the happiness that we have, whether we strive for happiness or transcending the suffering, which is Nibbana, the happiness that we want normally is when we want to be in heavens. These are the things that will fool us. If you want to set your goal, is that you should aim for the happiness without suffering. You can retrospect to the past events that whether your happiness is permanent or not. Like the ultimate happiness that you had in life, this happiness was in the past. They all fell away. You're listening to my talk is not that as happy as the moments that you experienced. Even though these ultimate happiness that you have, they all fade away. And this go the same to the suffering. It comes and goes. Lord Buddha said that in this samsara cycle of human, we passed these different lives, and even we collected tears. If we can collect tears without evaporating, and this life have been collected for more than the water in the oceans. You can count how many lives have been through. In this life, you have two eyes. Sometimes tears coming out unequally. if you were born in different lives and become fly, you have different eyes, so many eyes. And within those two eyes, there are 10,000 eyes in each side. I'm not sure whether you'll have tears. If you're born as fly, then you have less tears. Most of the mammals can cry and have tears. Tears that we've been collecting, it'll be more than the ocean. Before Lord Buddha become enlightened, he can retrospect to countless past lives, and he's seen that there's a lot of suffering in every life. There's not once in life that he never experienced suffering. He used to be born as king and wealthy man. They feel that if he felt that he has a lot of happiness, then he wouldn't transcend the suffering. But if he could see the suffering in this life, then he can transcend the suffering. Therefore, when we set our objective to learn the Buddhism or to attend the courses, the objective is to transcend the suffering. That's how it should be. Once you set this goal, set this objective, then it will lead you to the way you live your life. It's not in this course only, but it's how you lead your life. For example, you're afraid of the misconduct because it's very frightening. That's why Lord Buddha taught, first thing, you need to avoid misconduct because it's already always cause consequences. When you do good deeds, sometimes if you don't, so first of all, you need to avoid misconduct first before committing good deeds. You should, for example, you should avoid bad friends. And if you still have bad friends, you won't find good friends. Likewise, if you don't know your defilements, if you want to do merits, and those merits might not be worthy, it's like a poor investment. You need to be aware of your defilements and discard the misconduct first before committing good deeds. Then you can keep on observing defilements more subtle and subtle. Like if you're a good person, you still have suffering, and you have to look closely what's the cause of that suffering. Now we become a good person with less suffering by observing the defilements within our hearts. The defilements within our hearts are considered mental parts. Defilements that is difficult to observe. Normally, they are covered with sugar coat. For example, when I was ordained to be monk and I practiced Dharma, while practicing, at the beginning, it's very difficult. I have to fight against different obstacles. I learn in the worldly education quite a lot, and I think quite a lot as well. And I thought that I should do some jhana, because I think that in order to transcend the suffering, I need to do jhana or absorption level of samadhi. And I think that the first jhana shouldn't be enough. I need to do the fourth jhana. And the calmness is not enough. I need to have special abilities like I can levitate, or I can travel places. For example, coming to Malaysia, I don't have to fly. through airplane. Like I can emerge from the ground and be in front and give talk. Like in the beginning, when I ordained, I think that I should have jhana and also the special abilities. Like I want all the noble ones wish me to succeed. I want Long Pu to help me. I thought that there was only one way, and I tried to make do calmness samadhi, and I thought that I gained the jhana. Before realizing that I was fooled, it took me 16 years. The things that fool me that I got the calmness is actually the sleepness. Actually, when during sitting meditation, I have the drowsiness and I thought that was calmness. When I get into this state of mind, then I awake from this awake state of mind and I think that, oh, the mental part's gone, the physical part's gone. I thought that I entered jhana. I've been doing it for 16 years. When I can go to sleep, I'm happy. But in my mind, I don't feel as if I was sleeping. I thought I was entering jhana. And after the session, after meditating and chanting, if they hit the bell and I become awakened, and then I thought that, oh, I just got into jhana and I was so happy. But then merits take results. There was one year that there's a tradition monks would give chances for other monks to warn each other. If I, for example, I am mistaken for any disciplines, you can warn me and tell me. If I to better myself, if I conduct wrongdoings, then you can tell me, and I wouldn't give accusation or be angry at the person who tell me. And there was one monk. This monk have known for a long time, seen me for a long time. After the evening chanting, after 9 p.m. In the morning, about 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, we did morning chanting and do sitting meditation, and we go walking arms. When I did sitting meditation about 4 a.m. in the morning, it's very proper chance to enter jhana like me. That's very appropriate time. When I do sitting meditation, the mind will move towards this direction.
Just before we started, there's one monk just stopped me. My mind was getting into the groove to get into my jhana. I got irritated. I forgot already that I told all the monks that I won't hold them accountable, I won't be angry. I was about to get into my jhana. But just for a moment of being angry, and then he said, "You are falling asleep." He said, I was stunned. From a moment ago, the phenomenon that was arising is just that my mind moves into this drowsiness. And I thought, and I was glad that I was moving into jhana. That's called ignorance. I was aware of what's going on, but I was happy about that happening because I thought I was the correct path. I was getting drowsy. I just thought it was getting into jhana absorption. It's not seeing the phenomena. I just saw the satisfaction, the pleasure of the situation that was happening. Until I was warned and I had the anger and I didn't see my anger. And I was only seeing the question in my head who was trying to say something to me. And once he said that I was falling asleep, I was stunned. I was startled and confused. And then that moment I realized what was going on. Once I realized that I was asleep, I felt really discouraged. I felt so bad about myself. And I was just sitting there, blank, whining to myself about what's next, what I could do next. From falling asleep, so then I was just sitting until the bell went off. From that point on, I felt lost. I didn't know what to do for my practice. So every time I practiced, I didn't know what to do. So I told myself that perhaps I don't have any hope for this lifetime. So I told myself it's okay. Okay, if I cannot become a successful monk, I won't become a bad monk. So I have to hold my precepts dearly. Whether I could achieve jhana or achieve any enlightenment, it's okay. I didn't know what to do. And I'm very glad that I had a chance to listen to Luang Pu's Dhamma. So I saw the way again. I saw that the way to do this, there are actually two ways to get there. One way is for the people who are very, very good at samadhi. That type of person will get into jhana and they could do the wisdom cultivation in their jhana. So having the samadhi leading vipassana. So the other type who, no matter how hard you try, you get sleep rather than samadhi. So then we just use samadhi just as a contrasting background. So for example, you use your breath as a meditation object. You use it the moment you see that you've drifted away from the breath to the thoughts, then just know it the way they are. Then once you know this, once you know it with an equanimous mind, you see that the moment that you lost, but then when you realize it, you're not lost anymore. That moment when the mind is aware of the breath, and another moment the mind is aware of being lost. So if you stay with breath for 5 seconds, the 6th to 10th seconds, you were thinking about something else. And the 11th second, you become aware. If you become aware with equanimous mind, you will see that you were lost. That the 10th second, you were lost. The 11th second is the moment that you became aware and it ceases. And the 12th second arises coming back to the breath. There is no correction. It's just the awareness of what you are awareness. If you are aware of the breath, you're doing samatha practice. If you are aware of something else, that means you're being lost. If you know that that moment, that split moment ago, you become aware that you were lost. That's the knowing moment. So it's every instant. This one, that moment that you become aware of the lost moment, that moment which you not lost, and that's vipassana moment, and then you come back to samatha with your breath. So this is the vipassana starting as a starting point, and you come back to samatha, and then you lost, and then come back to become aware of the breath, which is samatha practice again. So do samatha practice, get lost, become aware, and come back to square one. Start with becoming aware of the breath. Second, getting lost and become aware. The duration of the first phase, second phase, doesn't have to be of equal length. It could be 5 seconds and 10 seconds, and the 16 seconds, that's when you become aware. The 15 seconds already falls away, and 16 seconds also falls away. Just like the seconds ago, the arm of the seconds never stay in the same place. Everything proceeds, everything goes on. Time is like that. If you remember the old kind of analog clocks, you see that the arms never stop to move. The mind is like that. When you are aware of the breath, that's samatha practice. When you are aware of something else, when you're thinking somewhere else that you lost, and then that moment that you're knowing, that moment, that one instant, you have the knowing mind, and it falls away. If you are going to do again, you come back to samatha practice with your breath, and then you lost, and then become a knowing mind that your mind was lost. So there are 2 points that you need to practice. Initially, stay with your breath as a samatha practice. You don't need to practice for the getting lost part. The second phase, you don't need to practice it. You're proficient at this second phase. The third one is the part that you need to practice. You need to know that one split moment ago, what was going on. And there is no need to hold on to that, because it will fall away. It would cease to exist. That knowing mind happens just that one moment, sustains and falls away naturally. You cannot make the knowing mind arise again. You cannot sustain and maintain and hold on to the knowing mind. How did it happen before? You happen before it starts with samatha practice and getting lost, and they become mindful of it. If you're still knowing the breath, it's not the third phase, which is the knowing mind. Staying with your breath is samatha practice. That's step 1, square one. Phase 2 is just getting lost. You don't need to practice. It will appear. It will happen on its own. You don't need to prevent it. That's part of the practice. And then the one that you really want to practice is the knowing mind that happens in the third phase. The quality of the knowing mind, whether you know it with equanimous mind, if you know, and you know it and you dislike it, if you know, become mindful and you like it, that's not good quality. You just need to just know. You just know what happened. That's the quality, that you know that it was lost, and when the moment you know you were not lost, and that knowing moment also ceases to exist. In order to know again, you go back to your breath again, start again, and then you know. You know your breath, you get lost, and you know again. So back to step 1, don't deny second phase in order to have the third phase. Because you lost, so then you will have the knowing mind. Getting lost is part of the process. That's part of your life. So, samatha practice, getting lost, and the knowing mind. So it's the third type of mind. Knowing it or not knowing it, whether you know you are practicing it correctly, that's what it is, knowing the phenomenon that's arising. If you know that getting lost has happened, So stay with your breath, samatha practice, getting lost about thinking in your thoughts. And then the third moment, know so. It's not about knowing you were thinking about floods, for example, you still lost. It's about knowing that you were thinking. So the moment you knew that you were lost, that's when you have the knowing mind. The quality of the knowing mind, does it know it just for the sake of knowing, whether happy, satisfied, and unsatisfied with what you knew? So you need to be equanimous about it. That's the quality of the knowing mind. But if you know it and it's not equanimous, it's okay. Don't fix it. Just realize that it was not equanimous. Don't try to fix it to be equanimous. Because if you try to be equanimous, it will be a fake equanimity. This type are the people who are not proficient with samatha practice. So maybe 5 seconds you can stay there. There's no new practitioners that would stay with the breath for longer than 5 seconds. Sometimes it won't even last 5 seconds, 3 seconds. It doesn't matter how many seconds that you can stay with your breath. It's a place where you don't want the consequences from this. You just need a contrast point that if the mind is with the breath, that's called samatha. If the mind somewhere else, it's being lost. It doesn't matter how long it stays with the first phase, because we are the type that have to have the wisdom leading samadhi. Don't hope for any peace or calmness, because if you want to be calm and when you're not calm, the moment you become a knowing mind, you dislike it at that moment. So when you hope for calmness and when the mind is lost, the moment you have a knowing mind, you dislike the fact that you were lost. Because the moment you realize, when the moment your knowing mind see that the mind was lost, it's no longer there. It ceased to exist. So the mind is at every instant. The moment, the current moment, it's still life. It's present. So when you think about a flood, the mind that stays with the breath already died. So then the moment you were thinking about the flood, and then the knowing mind becomes aware that you were thinking about the flood. But if you dislike the fact that you were thinking about flood, you disliked it. So if you aim for calmness, the moment you were lost, the moment you're thinking about flood, the knowing mind will be displeased, and then it will start to hold on to the moments of flood that used to disappear already, and you won't be able to practice. Because you're trying to do something that's impossible, trying to grasp onto something that doesn't exist anymore. Because all those moments that had passed, the mind had already fallen away, has disappeared, has ceased to exist. That moment that you know, you start again, coming back to breath. You're not trying to get the lost mind to bring back. So when you do the samatha practice, when you feel lost, just know so, come back to square one. So the typical common mistake is just the moment you have the knowing mind, you always don't come back to your breath from square one with your samatha practice. The moment you know, you start to criticize whatever you just observed. What happened a moment ago? You saw that it was lost, and then I knew, oh, I saw that, so I have to go tell other people that I saw this. Oh, now I have to go tell others that this is how the practice is supposed to be. You thought about it for an hour. It's like you being generous. You worry about others. but others don't need those.
มีน้ำใจแบบเขาไม่ต้องการ
This kind of generosity, they don't want it. You're just thinking.
ทำการคิดอย่างเนี้ยนะ
This way you think, you're just fooling yourself that you're being generous. You thought that you were understanding Dhamma.
ตัวนี้ก็ต้องรู้ทันด้วย
And you have to know so
มันกำลังฟุ้งซ่านอยู่
that the mind is just getting this,
รู้ปุ๊บเนี่ยอย่าเสียเวลา
just getting busy. Don't waste your time the moment you know.
เรียกชื่อมัน
You are allowed to give it name. You can give it a name. You can say, yeah, I was lost, and then come back. You can come back to square one, getting lost, and then you realize it. You can say, oh, I was lost. Okay. You can start with Butto, 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 flood, 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 flood. Knowing, mind, you can call it, I was lost, and come back to Butto. Butto, flood, knowing mind, oh, I was lost, come back to Butto. Don't correct, don't pull. Whatever minds that had occurred has already falls away and cannot bring anything back. It disappeared already. You cannot have something that disappeared already. It's intangible, especially because the mind is intangible. The fact that you're trying to do something about it, it's another type of lost mind. So start with a mind that's ready to get lost. Lost. When you lost, you would know. When you want the calmness, the stillness. So when you lost, you will dislike the fact that you were lost.
เวลาเราภาวนาเป็นกันไหมถ้าอยากสงบนะพุทโธพุทโธพอหลง
You can say Putto, Putto. Once the mind's moved out, when you disliked it, you try to hold back that mind because you started with an incorrect approach. So start with the fact that you be having delusions and getting lost in your thoughts. You just know that you won't be able to stay long with samatha practice. Start with the mind that's getting ready to get lost, and then you'll be able to have a mindful moment that is more equanimous. And then you accept the fact that you were lost. When you're not interfering, not trying to correct it, then you have the quality knowing mind. And then you would just know with the quality mind, equanimous mind. The moment that you know, that moment is not lost. The moment that were you over-focusing? No. Were you interfering? No. With the moment that you have the knowing mind. Just knowing with the equanimous mind. Just that moment, you know it without interfering. It's upright and stable. That's a knowing mind. That's when you can do vipassana practice. And in order to achieve enlightenment, you need this type of knowing mind. So the objective for your practice is to have this type, the correct type of the knowing mind. So Putto is just the beginning. It's just for the contrast of something that is being lost in your thoughts, thinking about something else. Just know so. And accept it. So you're going to be able to accept this. You start with the fact, with the mind that it's ready to get lost. So then you would just know it with equanimous mind. If you want to be calm and peaceful, and then once you realize that your mind was lost and you cannot accept it. So the beginning is very important. It's not the objective that to stay with your breath for a long time. That's not your objective. But set it out right that you will stay as a contrast background to compare it to the mind being lost. You can use Putto or just you are not practicing to stay with the breath, but you're practicing to get a knowing mind. This is like a bait for the mind. So having the bait, working with the mind to keep the mind until that mind moves away, you just know. It's like a home base. So Putto is like your home. So when the mind moves outside the house, you just know that the mind's moved out. But when the mind stays at home, you won't be able to see the mind. You see Putto, you see the breath. Your sensory stays with Putto as Samatha practice. But the moment the mind's lost, moved out, and not knowing Putto, you know that the mind is lost. You just realize that the mind was lost. Sometimes when you see Putto, you don't see the mind, but the mind has moved out. You see that the minds have moved. You see that the mind being lost is true. The knowing mind has arisen. You see that the mind that was lost that moment ago. So the lost mind has already ceases to exist. And the knowing mind will also cease to exist. You cannot sustain or maintain it. Come back to Putto. So these are the steps. 1, 2, 3. First, samatha practice. Second, not doing samatha practice. And the third is knowing that you were not doing it. So 1, samatha practice. Second, not doing samatha practice. And 3, knowing that you were not doing it and come back to step 1 again. The moment that is you not doing, you have all kinds of things. You can go left or you can go right in this second phase. There are ways of getting lost. It could be anything that's not Putto is lost, is you having delusion. Even the desire to be able to chant Putto more clearly, that's also because you don't want to be lost. That's also a kind of being deluded and getting lost. You're not knowing Putto comfortably with comfort. When you're focusing, when you're stressing in your mind, that's already over-focusing. Just know so that you're over-focusing. The moment you know that you're focusing, it's when you lost somewhere else, you see you have the knowing mind. The difference between over-focusing, that knowing mind arises, then usually the over-focusing doesn't disappear because you're already strained, you're already constricted. So relax. Relax first. So Luang Pu has taught us, it's just to give yourself a big smile. Smile from the heart. Give you a big smile. Even you wearing a mask, just give yourself a big smile. Forgive yourself that I have already over-focused already. Forgive yourself. Just like patting yourself in the back. I already made a mistake. Just forgive yourself. It's okay. You can restart again. Just pat yourself. Pat yourself in the back. Don't do it to anybody else. Just, you don't have to do it physically. Just tell yourself with your mind. Just like when you do it to your cats. Forgive yourself. Don't take it too seriously. Don't force it to be this or that. When you made a mistake, it's okay. You already made a mistake. When you lost, just know so. But when you are over-focusing, sometimes the knowing mind arises and you will continue to over-focus. Forgive yourself and come back to square one. Give yourself a big smile from the bottom of your heart, truly from your heart, until the mind has loosened out. Just like when you're holding your fist really tight. When you want to relax and loosen, you have to loosen it from the mind. When he started to teach me, I tried to do it. So he taught me to smile. So I was thinking, yeah, okay. I saw my body breathing without over-focusing the breath. So when I was starting to practice, watching the breath at the nose, at the tip of the nose, and I started to over-focusing it. So I didn't know I was over-focusing. I was telling myself that I was practicing. I was doing my practice. So whenever I went to see masters, they would tell me that I was over focusing. I was wondering, like, I just started.
มันใช้คนละคำ
It's a different
ท่านบอกว่าเพ่ง
term.
แล้วบอกว่าภาวนา
He said
ก็เลยไม่เห็น
I
สภาวะ
was over
ส
focusing,
ภาวะ
but
เดียวกัน
I said
สภาวะเดียวกัน
practice.
นะ
It's the
เรากำลัง
same
ทำอยู่เนี่ยเราบอก
phenomenon.
ในใจว่า
I was doing
ภา
it.
ว
I
นา
was telling myself I
แต่ท่า
was
น
doing the
เห็นแล้วนี่
practice,
คือส
but
ภา
he
วะเพ่ง
saw me and he told me that I
อ
was
ย่างเงี้
over
ยถ้าเกิด
focusing.
อาตมายังบอกในใจว่า
So
ตัวเองกำลังภาวนาอยู่นะ
if
ก็เรีย
I
กว่าไม่
tell
เห็นส
myself
ภา
that
วะ
I'm still practicing, that means I cannot
แต่
see
อาการ
the
เพ่ง
phenomenon.
เกิดขึ้นมาเนี่ย
I
ไม่
could
เห็น
not
เพราะว่า
see
เราคิดว่าอย่าง
the
เงี้ยถูกต้อง
state
แล้ว
of me being
ทำ
over
อย่างนี้เรียกว่า
focused.
ภา
I
วนา
thought it was correct. I
ต
thought
อน
this
นั้นน่ะ
was
ท่าน
the
เลยบอกว่า
practice. So
ให้
later on,
เปลี่ยน
he told me to change
เปลี่ยนอารมณ์สมถะใหม่
change
จาก
my
รู้จุดเดียวเนี่ยมัน
meditation
จะง่ายต่อ
object
การเพ่ง
from that
ท่านให้
point,
เห็น
single
กาย
point
หาย
of
ใจ คือ
breathing.
เห็นทั้ง
So
กาย
he
เนี่ย
told me to
ก่อนจะเห็นกาย
observe
หาย
the
ใจเนี่ย
body
ต้องให้ใจ
breathing,
มั
the
น
whole
ค
body.
ลายก่อน เพราะว่า
But you need to
เรา
loosen
เพ่ง
the
มาแล้วเนี่ย
body,
นะใจ
the
มันเครีย
mind
ด ใจ
first.
มันเหมือน
Because
กำหมัด
if
เกร็งๆอยู่
my mind was so over
ท่านก็เลยให้ยิ้ม
focusing, it
หวาน
was so
ๆ
strict.
ยิ้มหวาน
So
ๆ แล้วก็ยิ้ม
he
ยิ้ม
asked me
ยิ้
to
มหวาน
give a big
ๆ ยิ้มเบิกบาน
smile
จากใจ ครับเบิกบานจากใจ
from the bottom of
พ
my
อเบิกบานจาก
heart.
ใจท่านให้เห็นกายหายใจไม่เพ่งลม แล้วก็
From
เห็นกายหายใจไม่
so
เพ่ง
then
ล
I
ม
could observe the body
การเห็น
breathing
กายหายใจไม่
without
เพ่งลม
over
เนี่ย
focusing.
ดูครั้งแรกเนี่ยนะ
So observing the
เรา
body
ก็ไม่แน่ใจ
breathing
ว่าอย่าง
without
นี้ถูกหรือเป
focusing
ล่า
on the breath. The first time I saw it, I didn't know whether it was
เห็นอยู่ 2
correct.
ทีอะเห็น
So I saw it
เห็น
twice.
ลมเข้าและเห็นลมออก แล้ว
I
ก็
saw
สง
the
สัย
breath in and the breath
ใช่อย่างนี้หรือเป
going
ล่า
out,
นึก
and
ใน
then
ใจ
I was
มัน
wondering
ใช่
whether
หรือ
it
เปล่า
was
นะ อย่าง
correct.
ที่ท่านว่า สงสัยไม่รู้ว่าสง
I
สั
was
ย เพราะ
curious.
จิต
I
มัน
was
ไม่แน่ใจนะ
questioning
มัน
when
ก็เลย
I
กลับมา
was
ทำอย่างเก่า
having questions. So
กลับ
my
ทำอย่าง
mind
เก่า
wasn't
เนี่ย
sure.
มัน
I
เห็นเลย
came
ว่า
back to
เมื่อกี้นี่
focusing
เห็นกายหายใจ
at the breath at
นะ
the tip of
ไม่ได้
my
เพ่งจุด
nose.
ไหนเลย
So
ถาม
then,
ว่าหลง
and
ไหม
then
ไม่ได้
when
หล
I
ง เห็
realized
นกาย
I
แต่
was
ไม่หลง
breathing,
เพ่งไหม
I
ไม่
was
ได้เพ่ง
seeing the
ไม่ได้
body
เพ่งจุดไหน
breathing.
เลย
I didn't
แต่
focus
พอ
on
สง
any
สัยปุ๊บ
single
ก
point.
ลับมาทำอย่างเดิ
But
ม
when
นะ
I was
เห็นเลยว่า
questioning,
จิตมั
I
นวูบ
came
ฟุบ
back
เข้า
to
มา
do the same point. You
จิต
see,
วูบ
the
ฟุบเข้ามา
mind just
ก็เลยรู้
comes
เลยว่า
back and
อ๋อ
gather to that
เมื่อ
one
ก่อนที่เรา
single
ทำอ
point.
ยู่
That's when I
นั้นน่ะ
realized that
ที่เราทำอยู่
actually
นั้น
what I used to do in
เรีย
the
กว่าเพ่งแล้ว
past,
ล่ะ
that's
รู้
called
เลยว่า
over
เราเพ่งอยู่
focusing
ตลอดเลย
with the breath
ทำ
all
ไม
the
ถึงรู้ว่า
time.
เพ่ง เพราะ
How
มี
did I know that I
จิ
was
ตที่
over
ไม่เพ่งเป็นตัว
focusing?
เทียบ
Because I had a
เห็นกาย
contrasting
หายใจ
point
ไม่
when
เพ่
the
งจุดไหน
mind
เลย
wasn't
แล้วเห็นกายหาย
focusing
ใจไม่เพ่งล
anything
ม
when
พ
I
อมัน
was
กลับ
just
มาทางจุด
observing
เดิ
the
ม
whole body
เห็นเลยว่าเมื่อกี้มัน
breathing.
เพ่งไป
So when I came back to
แต่
the
คนที่
tip
เพ่ง
of
เนี่ย
my
นะ
nose breathing,
อาจ
so
จะ
that I
ต้อง
could see
มี
I
กา
was
รเปลี่
over
ยน
focusing.
เปลี่ยนอา
So
รมณ์
people who
ที่
used
จะ
to
ทำ
over
สมถะใหม่
focusing, you need to
เป็น
change your
เห็นกาย
meditation object,
เห็นกายหายใจ
perhaps, so then
อ
you
ย่าไป
could
เพ่งจุดใดจุดหนึ่ง
observe
อย่า
the
เริ่มด้วยจุด
difference.
เดียว
Don't
ถ้าเริ่มจุ
start
ดเดี
with
ยวเนี่ย
one
มันง่ายต่อ
single
การเพ่ง
point because it's too
นะ
easy to over focus.
ก็สรุปว่า
So in conclusion,
อาตมาเป็นประเภทท
I
ำสมถะไม่ค่อย
was
ได้
the type who wasn't proficient at
ใช้วิธี
doing samatha practice.
เจริญปัญญาก่อน
So I had to
เจ
have
ริญปัญญาก่อนเนี่ยคือ
the wisdom
ทำสมถะ
cultivation,
ไปด้วยใจที่พร้อมจะเผล
doing
อ
samatha with the mind just getting
คือเผล
ready
ออยู่
to
แล้ว
get lost.
ทำสมถะเนี่ยนับหนึ่ง
So
แล้วก็เผลอไป
step one and getting
แล้วรู้ทัน
lost
ที่มันเผลอ
and know
พัฒ
and
นา
know
ตัว
the
รู้เนี่ยให้
moment
มัน
that I
ได้
was lost.
ได้คุณภาพคือ
Developing the
แค่รู้
knowing
แค่ดู
mind with the quality with
ถ้า
just
รู้แล้วพอใจก็รู้ว่า
being
เมื่อกี้ไม่เป็นกลาง
equanimously
ถ้ารู้
observing.
แล้วไม่พอใจก็รู้ว่า
If
เมื่อกี้
it's
ไม่เป็นกลาง
observing with
ไม่รักษา
with
ไม่
the
แก้
likes
ไข
or dislikes, then
เริ่
you
มต้น
just
ใหม่
know so. Don't try to maintain or
ห
fix
ลงอีก
anything.
รู้อีก แล้ว
Start
เริ่มต้นใหม่
square one,
ทำอยู่3 จังหวะ
getting
นี้
lost, and do it. Just
3
these
ขั้นต
three
อนใน
steps
การภาวนาแค่นี้
repeatedly.
ที่ฝึกมีอยู่2 จุดคือ
So 2
ทำสมถะ
points.
ฝึกทำสมถะด้วยใจที่
Doing
พร้อมจะเผล
samatha
อ
practice with the mind getting ready to be
หลง
lost.
ไม่ต้องฝึก
Getting
อยู่แล้ว
lost is no
3
need
ฝึ
to
กรู้
practice for it. And the third one
รู้
is
เนี่ย
just
ฝึกรู้
getting
ไป
the
เรื่อย
knowing mind.
ๆรู้ทีแรกรู้ไม่เป็นก
You
ลาง
knowing
รู้แล้วก็ไม่ชอบ
with
ใจไม่เป็นไร
not
เริ่ม
without
ต้นใหม่
equanimous,
หลง
without
ไป
equanimity,
รู้
it's okay.
รู้
You
แล้ว
don't
ก็
like it, just start
ไม่
again.
เป็นกลางไม่เป็นไร
Just you're gonna
ทำให
know
ม่
without equanimity, it's okay. Just
ไม่ไป
start
แก้ไข
again. Don't
ไม่
correct
ไป
it.
แก้ไขให้รู้นั้นมันดี ไม่ไป
Don't
แก้ไข
fix
ให้
it
รู้นั้น
such
มัน
that
เป็
the
นกลาง
knowing
ไม่ไปแก้
mind
ไข
is
ให้รู้
good,
นั้น
is
ให้
high
มันรู้
quality, is
เฉยๆมันไม่
equanimous.
เฉยไปแล้วไม่ต้อง
If
แก้
it's it's already happened without the equanimity. It's okay. Start again. Getting lost again and knowing so again. So make it like a circuit. If you keep getting this circuit, you will know a knowing mind. You will have a knowing mind frequently, and it will further develop. Start with a mind ready to get lost, and know and start again. That's how I practiced. That's how I had been practicing. and then the knowing mind will develop. Okay, it's been 1 hour. Number 1. I have been learning Luang Pu teaching for over 3 years and have previously attended courses, but I have never submitted homework to Ajahn. My formal practice consists of chanting the Diamond Sutra. When my mind becomes too scattered or when I feel exhausted, I switch to sitting meditation and observe either the body's breathing or the agitation in the chest area. In daily life, I observe feelings, notice the mind's lack of equanimity, and observe when it wanders off into thought. My question is, during the last year's homework submission, depending on the Ajahns' energy, my meditation became more stable, and I observed many unknown elements rapidly arising and ceasing away. However, my mind was not equanimous. Ajahn Song advised me to observe the mind's lack of equanimity. Over the past year, I have more often observed the arising and ceasing of all phenomena, and the mind has gradually become more equanimous. I have felt that my practice resonates deeply with the teachings given by the Ajahn. Please guide me on the blind spots in my practice and where to find a breakthrough.
What is your object of meditation? Breathing? The breath? Have you observed the breath? The breath just merely things that compare that whether you're drifting away, you shouldn't try to maintain with the breath. If you know that you're drifting away, if it's not neutral, just know so. Do not fix it. Start again. Start again is like back to square one. It's not like coming back. Just start anew. Start with the breath again. To be neutral, it will happen when you do samatha with the mind that's ready to get lost. If you can do this, get lost and know so. It's like you are a researcher. When you collect data, we collected the data that's really truly happening. For example, we want to study about the cycle of the butterflies. It will start from the egg and become the worms and worms and cocoons and then butterflies, and try to find the food, and then if you are a researcher who is not objective, then you'll feel pity for the cocoons when it break out from the cocoons. It might cause a lot of trouble for the cocoon, so you try to help the cocoon by breaking apart with the mind that is not neutral. So that kind of study is not practical because you're interfering with the cycle of the butterflies, and that butterfly might be disabled because it got interfered with the cocoons. If it doesn't have to use the strength in order to break apart the cocoons, then it won't have strength to spread their wings. So, likewise, we should be like the researcher. It could be good or bad. When you, it's like when we conduct the study, if the mind is good, no soul, not good, no soul. So that will make your mind becomes neutral. When the mind is good, we record it. If it's bad, record it as well. Just record the mindset drifting away. If you don't know, becomes greed. You don't know the greed, and it becomes aversion. No soul. You can know at any point with neutral mind. This will happen. You should act as a researcher, study about your mind, and accept the truth whatever it happens. Every time that you know, so the mind will record on its own about what's happening. And then the mind tend to repeat things according to your demeanor. For example, if you're angry natures, there will be a lot of aversion. When you see the aversion, the mind will memorize how the aversion looks like, and you do samatha again. And once the mind drifts away, no soul. If you know with the neutral mind, then you know what the aversion is like. Apart from memorizing the aversion truly exists, it also memorizes the characteristics of the aversion. If you can see it 2 times, it can record 2 times. If you not firmly recognize it, like for example, myself, I can see you 2 times, but I couldn't firmly recognize you. But once if I repeatedly seen you, then I can memorize you. At first, I have to call your name. But if I call your name many times, because I see you many times, even though I don't call your name, that's okay. As long as I could see you. The more I see you, I don't have to call your name anymore because I get to know you already, because I firmly recognize you. And it won't call the names. Likewise, when you meet a new friend, you have to call them very often so that you can remember them. But once you recognize them, you just say, hey, because you already knew them. And that person knew that you call them. Once you firmly recognize the phenomena, once it happens again, then it will know it with automatic mindfulness. At that moment, the mindfulness is of high quality, is the mindfulness within the noble path. We have to use that kind of automatic mindfulness in noble path, but now we have to train with some intention. But once you firmly recognize them, when they drift away, you know so automatically. But first of all, we have to train to have intention to know, but don't do it with the last extent of degree of intention. Because when you do samatha practice, you have to do with the mind that's ready to get lost. Just know, but you have to have the intention to train to know. So there are 2 things, 2 points that you need to have intention to practice. The first one, do samatha with the mind that's ready to get lost. And once you might get lost, then you have to be aware. This is another point that you have to intention to know. But it's only a slight attention, slight intention. If you have strong intention, it's like you want to be at this point, don't want to wander away. It will be strong intention. The slight intention meaning that when you start anew with the mind that ready to get lost and collect the data, when you get the fruit of the practice, the knowing mind will arise on its own because it's firmly recognizes the phenomena. You don't have intention to produce the mindfulness, but it happens on its own. The path of your practice will be like this.
ช่วงนี้ก็ต้องเรียกว่า
During this period of time, you have to be patient, patient to observe
ดูไป
on and on,
ซ้ำๆอย่างเงี้ย
repeatedly.
จุดที่ต้องฝึกจริงๆ
The point that you have to practice is the first thing. Do samatha practice. When you count one, you have to do samatha with the mind that's ready to get lost. And once you know, do not think for long period of time. Do not let the mind think in the well of thought for long period of time or try to criticize the phenomena for long period of time. Instead, you start anew. Come back to square one as quickly as possible and know again.
Number 2, I have been learning Luang Pu's teachings for 2 years and have previously attended courses, but I have never submitted homework to Ajahn. In formal practice, I mainly do walking meditation, with being awareness of the body's movement and stillness as meditation object. In daily life, I observe the movement and stillness of the body, and sometimes chant Buddho or Itipiso. My question is, currently, my practice lacks strength, and sometimes I feel like giving up. When I think of giving up, I feel that being endlessly reborn is meaningless, so I tell myself to keep striving. However, when I think about practicing, the mind feels tight and constricted. When that happens, I just want to relax. Sometimes I notice my mind running around, unable to settle, which brings frustration. When I don't see any hope, laziness sets in. May I respectfully ask for Ajahns guidance in this stage of my practice?
All the problem originated from while doing samatha, you want to be calm. You have to set new objective. Whether it's calm or not, it's okay. The things that we need to train, that's determinant factors that makes it good or bad, is that you use Buddho or moving. For example, you chanting Buddho. The things that determine whether you are successful or not is not how long you can be with the Buddha. The success factor is that when you know when it's not like when you stay with the Buddha and you don't move anywhere at all. But once it moves away, we know so. We try to train to know this, especially when you know when the mind drifts away. And you know so, it will become stable and upright right away. But now you set the objective incorrectly. You want to be calm. You don't want the mind to waver and drifting away, running away from you. Actually, if the mind running away and you know so, the mind will become stable and upright. There was one time I was walking meditation, and I could see that the mind drift running towards myself in front of me, and I was so happy because I never experienced this kind of phenomena before I went to submit homework. And in the morning, I came to talk to the masters, and once he finished his talk to lay person, he talked to the monk, and I talked to him, and I said, "Master, I could see that the mind flowing, running." And he looked at me for a while, and he said that it doesn't cut off yet. I just said that the mind running and flowing. I didn't say that I became the stream enterer. And later on, I understood that once the mind drifting away, and I knew so, the mind will become stable. Likewise, if you know it with neutral mind, then the mind will become stable again. When the mind running away knows so, wandering away, no so, and start again, start anew, Buddha again. Once it's running away again, no so again, and then you'll gain the stable samadhi, stable mind. And I know, and then you'll realize that that's how you practice Dhamma, and you make a lot quick progress, especially when you could see the mind running away. But you have to know this with neutral mind, without refusing the phenomena. Now you see it, but you dislike it, you refuse it. Now the mind become of low quality. Because you dislike the phenomena, you think that it's bad. You think it to be stay here. It running again, you become disheartened. But actually, this kind of phenomena, you know, with an accepting mind, that it really running away. You say, oh, okay, you accept it, then the mind will become stable again. And yeah, you're saying that you don't have the strength of the mind, then it'll gain some strength. And this kind of strength will be different from the people who keep their mind still. The still mind cannot fight, cannot compete the mind that stable, because the mind that is still doesn't make you attain the Dhamma. But if you have the stable mind, it will give rise to the fruits of the Dhamma practice. That's why Luang Po said that you didn't cut off. It didn't cut off yet. You didn't attain the Dhamma yet, because you feel like. You say that, oh, it was so good that I could see that the mind that running away. I thought I was so happy. I thought I was so happy, very good, that the mind is running. I knew that the mind running away. That's not neutral as well. If it's running away, just know so. If it's not running away, that's okay. Just know so as well. Just know it as it really is.
Number 3. I have been learning Luang Po's teachings for 1.5 years and have previously attended courses, but I have never submitted homework to Ajahn. My formal practice is anapanasati. I maintain equanimity and observe the changes in the body and mind. Sometimes I perceive or contemplate impermanence, suffering, and non-self. In daily life, I listen to Luang Po's Dhamma talks, look inward, and observe the changing of bodily feelings and mental feelings. My question is, I often get lost in thoughts, become overly focused, and lack mental strength. Theoretically, I understand the path to liberation from suffering, yet I still cannot free myself from attachment to the world. How can I find inner motivation? Could Ajahn please kindly guide me?
In the worldly affair, you have to live in the world, you have to do your livelihood, but you have to be aware that we don't aim for the we don't aim for happiness from the worldly affairs, because we know that the happiness in this world just help us go through the day. For example, we have income, it helps us to live with a convenient life, not so much of suffering. But the aim of ours is not for this kind of happiness, like the beginning of my talk, that this happiness is real, but it's only very limited, and it's tainted with suffering from the beginning to the end, from searching for this kind of happiness to preserve the happiness and lose this happiness. There will be suffering all along if you just only aim for this sort of happiness, especially when you're in pain and ache, and when you're old. because you have no ability to search for this kind of happiness anymore. And you know that at the end of the path of this world, they're full of disappointment. Even though we live in this world, we have to search for money and to be financially stable, but you don't need to depend on it too much. The things that we can really depend on is the mind that well-trained, the mind that full of merits. The possessions that we have, we can give away to others as well, or the behavior through the speech and the body, and we can preserve them, do not conduct misdeeds, or we should cultivate samatha and have wisdom to see that everything is impermanent suffering and non-self. Everything is actually the mind. The mind is very important. If you understand the mind, then all kinds of suffering that we have will be less and less. Lord Buddha used to say that he used his nail to put in a soil. The soil will be like dust because it's very hot weather. And he asked his followers that whether the soil within his nails and the soil on the land, which one is more? And the monks that follows Lord Buddha said that it's incomparable because the soil in his nails is insignificant compared to the proportion of the whole soil on this earth. And he said that the suffering of the stream enterers still there, but that's the soil of the in the nail of Lord Buddha is very little, and his nail might not be that long. His nail very short, and the soil within the nails compared to is like the suffering of the stream enters, but the soil within the earth belongs to compared to the suffering of the lay person. And if you're still stuck in this world, then you'll be suffer like other people endlessly. But if you have the objective to transcend the world, then you won't submerge in this world for a long time. You have to set our objective. If you cannot transcend yet, we still can set the objective. When you enjoy the world too much, then you can realize that you shouldn't stay here for long. You cannot depend on it because it is the one that causes you suffering. If you're enjoying too much, then it will fool you. It gives you a little happiness, like the breadcrumbing you, because there's suffering at the end of the tunnel. If you keep enjoying the happiness in this world and you don't train samatha or vipassana practice, at the time when you're old or become in pain, then it's hard for you to train because your health is not good. Now you are healthy, you should make the most of your time in Dharma practice because you still walk, you can sit, you're not in pain, you still can sit for a long period of time, hours. You can use the posture, the still posture, and you can see the mind that wandering away. You should spend this time to practice. Do not enjoying the world too much, but it doesn't like it shouldn't. It doesn't like it's forbidden. When you live in the world, when you have to watch the news, it's your job. You can do so that you can talk to other people to understand them. But you have to find the time, set aside time for meditation every day, and try to try to do the samatha practice in daily life, like count number one, not playing mobile phones all the time, or talk to other people all the time. But the people, even though you talk to your friends, but these friends might talk with others, but they keep on observing themselves, like observe their minds that drifting away and enjoying the conversation. Sometimes you talk to your friends, you think you condemn them that, oh, these people are drifting away. I'm practicing Dhamma, but they are drifting away in the world. And I thought that I'm not careless. I found my masters. It seems that you know yourself, but actually there are another conceits arising. You are look down on other people. You have to be aware of this one as well. If you start practicing and have different fabrication, it seems that you're above other people. You have to be aware of this as well. This is like when you try to warn yourself to be aware of the mental phenomena, to try to warn yourself to remember Dhamma practice while sitting, observe the body that's sitting, keep on observe, don't let enjoying the world, because the world is not, you cannot depend on the world. Only the mind that is well trained that can be dependent. You are the one who can depend on yourself who is well trained. But if you're enjoying the world without training yourself, then you won't have anything to depend on at the end of your life, and your life will be a waste. And nobody will be able to help you at the end of your time, and it will be very pity, and you can go towards them. So you have to train yourself till you gain the confidence by setting aside time for formal meditation every day. And during the day, you have to warn yourself that to be aware of your body moving and working, or still or moving. Keep on observing these things as much as possible.
Number 4. I have been learning Luang Pu's teachings for over a year and have previously attended courses, but I have never submitted homework to Ajahn. In formal practice, I do standing meditation while observing the breath and reciting Bhutto. During walking meditation, I observe the movement and stillness of the body, as well as the awareness of the mind and in and out of the mind. In daily life, I am aware of the movement and stillness of the body, observe the in and out of the mind, stay alert to habitual thinking, often get lost in thoughts, and at night I recite Bhutto while observing the mind. My question is, during standing meditation, while observing the breath, my mind occasionally scatters. During walking meditation, while observing the body and mind, I often get lost. With many thoughts arising, I frequently notice that anger is strong and easily disturbed by emotions. I diligently uphold the precepts, but sometimes I am unsure whether white lies could count as false speech. I am uncertain if my practice is correct or if I am stuck somewhere. May I respectfully request your guidance on how to progress or break through in my practice.
Lying with good intention for other people's benefit. If not necessary, you shouldn't speak. The lie, even though with good intention, still a lie. even though it's just better than bad intention, but still a lie. But if you can speak the truth, that is better. For example, if someone got cancer and doctor said that you haven't developed the cancer, you'll get better soon. You feel the doctor feel that afraid of the patients become sorry, but actually, if the patient knew that he got cancer, so he can prepare himself. But if he got lied to their face, then they won't be able to prepare themselves for that death. So it's very uncertain. So there's different ways to speak the truth. It's better than telling lies. And we can tell the truth at the same time, and we can warn them not to be careless. This is example. So anything that related to lies that not good, but they have different consequences, depends on the intentions and the consequences that might follow. So regarding to the mindset, thinking a lot, if you understand, if you listening to my talk, you will understand that we don't forbid thoughts. I'm very having busy mind, but the people who are having busy mind, the mind will be busy. If they're not busy, then they're not us. We can practice with the busy mind. We can do smarter practice, but you can do only for a short period of time. This is very normal. We don't have to try to force it, that it is not good. But actually, it is us, that we can do only short period of smarter practice, and it become busy again. We just know the busyness, know this truth. We shouldn't be irritated of the mind that is busy or thinking a lot. But if you know that you're thinking a lot, then the knowing mind will arise very often. Do smarter for about 2 seconds, and you think, just know that the mind is busy again. Do the smarter again. 2 seconds goes by, and it's busy again. No so again. Just within a minute, you can have 3 or 4 times knowing mind. We train the mind to develop this knowing mind. But if you know that you have the if you know that you're busy and you become irritated, it will exhaust your strength, because you keep on thinking, why I'm thinking, why I don't develop any samadhi, and it causes you dissatisfaction and causing the irritation. If you're not aware of these irritations, you blame yourself again, then the mind keep on mingling with these unwholesomeness. Actually, these unwholesomeness already there, but you have to be aware that it exists, and you have to back to square one, do the smarta. And once the mind busy and you don't aware of it, you're not aware of it, you become irritated. You can know the irritation. You can do and then come back to and start anew, do smarta practice again. When it's drift away, do smarta practice. You have busy mind again. You become irritated. You know so, and then come and do smarta practice. But do with the mind that accepting mind. Your mind is not good for sure. It's very few good minds, a lot of bad minds. But you have to be aware of them. Do smarta practice. It comes from the principles that there's a consequence of our actions. For the people who have busy mind, I understand the cause of this busy mind, which is in daily life, we're talking nonsense a lot. I'm talking about myself. Like while meditating, I'm really keen on talking nonsense. So while I was alone, I'm very talking nonsense as well. The mind is very keen on fabricating things. So when you're with other people and you're listening to other people and you're talking without you're talking nonsense, the other party didn't say a thing, but you have another side of your story to tell. When you Buddha, and you're talking nonsense, while talking nonsense, that's called busy mind. I'm like this. I'm not sure whether you're like that or not. I'm not a kind of person who, while with other people, I like talking nonsense. Like talking to make other people amuse and not and on without benefits. But once I stay alone, want to do smarter practice, but they're fabricating these nonsense, which is when you have the scattered mind. That's the consequence of our action. We have to accept it because it's still there. Once it's busy again, no so. That's my karma, that's my consequence that I have to bear and do samatha practice. I don't have to fix it. That's it. You have to accept it. Do you have a question?
那么我就在日常修行过程当中，把这个当做一个辅源或者一个参照吧。比方说我的腰疼腿时常会沉重的侵蚀我的时候，我就会担心，我的心伴随着这个疼痛的起落或者升热，是否得要一个汤和这个冲的状态，不停的热汤，特别是热汤的。那么这个时候，另一个心会告诉我，我的心是一个什么样的状态。我会知道我什么时候贪了，什么时候冲了，但是我不知道这个是不是一个中立的状态。想请教师父，这个是中立吗？我怎样推进和突破？谢谢。
She said that around this time I felt there's a lot of feelings like pains on my waist, and I try to observe my mind. When the mind doesn't have pain, I become satisfied. But when there's in pain, I feel dissatisfied. There's another mind that observes the phenomena that just happened. I'm not sure whether this kind of mind is neutral or not. Do you accept it? Do you accept that the suffering is there? If you can accept the suffering is there, you see that this body is merely you see that these feelings is real. You don't want to be more or less. It exists, and you just know it's existent. And the feelings, this pain will portray the truth that sometimes is more, sometimes is less, and it happens on its own. Once it is increased, then it happens on its own. When it's decreased, and it happens on its own. Then, if you know with a neutral mind, the feelings, the pain will portray the three characteristics. This is when you observe it with the neutral mind. Please forgive me for other homework. The time is already up, but I have other talk that you can submit homework again. The rest 4 may not enough for today. You can submit homework for the next day. That should be enough for today.